Hello, Judy from Thistledew Creations. Today I'm working on scrappy things for Give a Scrap. I was tagged by Brenda Clark, and it was started by Angela, the traveling crafter. Brenda Clark is the simple crafter. And they asked me to participate in this Give a Scrap event, hashtag Give a Scrap. And so I did some paper scraps this morning, and this afternoon I'm working with fabric, and I did a couple of 1 yard snippets with fabric. And then I thought I would like to do some fabric samplers. So where I've got all these different fabrics that I have saved from, none of them are new fabric, they're all vintage. So just a little scrappy sampler of them. So I'm going to make a little folder with the cover of my craft paper that I buy at the Dollarama. So I've just cut the edge with my decorative scissors. I'm going to do the other two edges as well. I'm cutting just in from this square edge to give it this fancy shape with these Fiskars Victorian is what these are. You should be able to buy these anywhere that sells shaped scissors, any craft store or Amazon or anywhere. I just pick them up whenever I see them at the thrift store. So I'm just going to make myself a little book, and then in that little book I'm going to decorate the inside with something. What can I do on the inside? Something quick. Could be fabric, since this is a fabric sampler. Yeah, I think I'll glue down some of this coffee dyed sheeting, which was actually a bed sheet. I think that'll be wide enough to cover. So I need it about this long. I'm just going to check my viewfinder here, make sure you can see what I'm doing. So if I do a sheet of this here, I'm going to glue that right down. This is going to use up a fair bit, but that's okay. That's the goal today. I'm just going to glue it on the paper rather than trying to glue on the fabric with my glue stick. And just glue that down sort of central, but not going all the way to the edge. I don't really need to cover at the edge. I wanted to cover this label more than anything. A few air bubbles in there. Let's give it a little rub down. And then I'll cut another piece for the other side. I want to get it the same, close to the same. It's a shame to cover up that gold. I still have the little crafts thing up in the corner here, but I just literally grabbed this and said, this will work. This will do. That's my whole motto. Thistledew Creations. Okay, so the cover I'm going to need to decorate after, but I'm focusing more on, actually, I could use that as the cover, and then I don't have to do so much decorating, and then the inside's already plain, which might work in better to what I want to do. So on the outside here, because I've got the spine exposed, I'm going to leave it for now. I'll probably put lace. Just trying to decide if I'm going to sew in a signature of anything. I think what I'm going to do instead, is use one of these paper attachers. I think I saw, was it Brenda that I saw using these the other day? Was it someone else I was watching? If you don't have these, you could use a couple brads, but the nice thing about these is you can stack up. They're meant for paper, but you can stack up quite a bit of thickness in these. So this would go through the back. This is going to be like a little booklet of scraps, is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to need to cut 2 holes so that this can go through the back, and then I'll cover that up somehow on the back. It could also just be glued in if you wanted to, but I think I want it to go through the book. So I'm just going to use my hole punch. Get my spacing just right here. It's about 7 centimeters. I might have to do a little math. Sorry, people. I know we like it better when we don't have to do math. So I've got 14 centimeters-ish, and it's 7 that I want. So I'll find the center, which is 7. And then I'll find the center of 7, which is 3.5. And I'll draw myself 2 little dots. Make sure they're down the same distance from the top, which is about, well, I'm not going to try to measure those millimeters. I'm just going to draw a little mark, and then I'll check this one, and it's up a little higher. So make this mark down here, and then I'll punch those holes out, going right through the fabric, so it's a little bit touchy, but it did it. I just didn't want to let go of it, so I got to cut those off. And then I'll put this through, and I'm going to also put a little bit of glue on it. So I'll use the 3-in-1 glue because it's metal. First of all, let's make sure it goes through. Make sure it's spaced right. And you, like I say, you could just glue this in, but I'm worried about it coming off. So that's why I wanted to put it from the back through and glue it in. I'm just going to put a nice thick bead between the holes. There's a bit of an indent in that in there, so I want to make sure that it catches, the glue catches it. And I'll just hold that for a few seconds while it sets up. Put some weight on it. And then it's a matter of picking my scraps, layering them in such a way that it's attractive, and you get a little bit of a sampler of all the different types of fabric, and that you can see a glimpse of each of them. I like that idea too, that you can see them all. So that's stuck on pretty well. It's not that unsightly. You could leave it exposed on the back. I'm probably going to cover it, maybe with a piece of lace or something. Just going to wipe my hands before I start handling these fabrics. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue stuff because it's about the biggest piece I'm going to want is the size of the booklet. And so I'm going to cut, actually maybe what I'll do is I'll cut like a folded over piece so that you get double the amount. And just, I like torn edges, so I'm going to tear it. that sheeting just tears so beautifully and frays so beautifully. Even the strings you get, like this is the blue roses, and I did one with purple roses. The threads you get have the colors, the red or the blue and the green in them. It's really neat to use as well in clusters and things. So I'm going to fold that over so that you can see that blue rose at the bottom. And here's the tricky part. I don't know if this will cut holes for me very well. I'm going to mark it with this where I want them. Let's see if my punch will work first. It doesn't want to release. It did go through, but it doesn't want to release now. So let's see. There we go. The other thing you could do is figure out a way to sew them into a book. I just thought of these things today and thought I would try it. There, so that's my first bottom layer. Probably not going to need that fabric again, so I'm going to set it aside. Now I've got some really pretty stuff here that would be nice to include, but I think I want it further up to the top for one thing. I mean, they could just be layered. It doesn't really matter, but what I was thinking is if I could get it off to the side, I could use one of those holes that's already in it. I'll have to wait and see on that. Let's put the next layer. Let's do some of this Ralph Lauren, what would you call it? It was a napkin for at the table. I'm going to cut it. I think I'm going to end up not being able to see all my layers because of these. So this is another blue, but let's fold it over so that we can still see that rose at the bottom. Let's see about, I'll put it over to one side. Mark my distance for my holes. That's the handy thing. You've got this top piece that can be your template for how far apart your holes need to be. So this would be easier with paper for sure. It's pretty hard squeeze to get through the fabric. It does it, but it's about all I can do to get it through there. Let's slide that onto the thing. So you see how you can see the rose peeking out? I like that. You can see what's underneath. Save some of those strings. And then because we're on a blue theme, I do want to use that in the end. I think I had a bit of blue gingham, like this kind of stuff, but in blue. That's what I was thinking next. Oh, I've got this piece of white, which would always be nice to have. It's going to be a little skinny. I'm only going to get one hole in it, I think. I think because it's going to be off to one side, it could be longer. So maybe I'll fold it in half just to give a bigger sample of it. No, you know what? Maybe I won't. Maybe I will do this so that I have more samples of it instead of a bigger sample of it. And let's see if I've got a hole that I can just enlarge. That's in about the right spot. One of these would be good, but that's over too far. There. Now what I like about this is you've got this rippled edge down the side. You got the torn edges and then this lace edge. Just straighten that thing back up. You know, you can probably not even see those, but they're there. Excuse me. And then on top of that, I'm going to layer a piece of this beside it, sort of. So I'm going to cut that about the same length, but I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to tear it. Go up a little bit. Do I want the green beside it or the beige beside it? I think I want the beige beside it. And I'll have to do myself a hole here of some sort. I'm going to want it right in that white rickrack. You know what I'm going to try for the holes, just to let you know whether it works better, is my faux crocodile. I got this off of Temu. I don't know how similar it is to a crocodile because I've never seen a real one, but it does make the holes a lot easier. This side of it has a fairly big hole punch, so let's just see. I said in the white. What did I say? In the white rickrack part. And this is the side with the big hole, the back side. Oh yeah, that's a lot easier to squeeze for sure. So if you have one of these, try that instead of the regular hole punch. So that goes down. And the idea of this is just a sampler to send to a friend or to put into a journal. So maybe you've used some of these fabrics in your journal and you want to sell it as a partly finished journal, for instance. So you want to include some of the same materials that they can use to further decorate the journal. That's sort of my take on why you would do this, okay? And then there's this little snippet of embroidered tablecloth sort of stuff. And I think I want this edge. I see how I've got these edges sort of trailing in. I think I would like to see that. This one's maybe closer to the right width. Let's see. And it actually is, if I leave it doubled over, it shortens up. Don't have to double it right over though. Do it like that. But definitely want to see that white edge. So I'm going to have to rip a little bit off of here to make that happen. So let's just do that. And then that adds to my small scrap basket. That can almost be like a tag top ribbon. It's so thin. And then let's mark where I want to. Actually, I'm going to cut a little bit off this side too. And I actually like the way that exposed the embroidery floss that was used. That's actually kind of cool to me. So I'll set this here. I can go over a little bit more. And then this is my template for my holes. And I'll use my crocodile to cut them, punch them. Much, much easier than a regular hole punch. I really must remember that I have this and use it more often. And then I think this is really hard for me to use, but I'm going to put some of this in here. This was a flapper dress, and it was like the overlay. There was just a plain cream slip dress underneath this, and it was my mom's. And she wore it. We had a 1928 Chevrolet touring car, and she wore it when we went to car club functions. So it's kind of hard. I even had a hard time cutting it. Now it's hard to think about including it in a giveaway, but I've decided that it's time to do that. It was 10 years ago in August that she passed away, so yeah, I think it's maybe time to either use it or something. Something has to happen. I can't just keep everything forever. It's better to use it and include it in a gift to a family member, for instance, as long as they know what it was. I also have a collection of my granny's aprons, and it's a similar type of thing. I can't bear to cut them, but it might be the perfect way. Something like this with a snippet of all of the fabrics from her aprons would be, I mean, it's all vintage fabric, be a great little snippet thing. And then because we've got the blues, I'm going to use a piece of this as well. This is very vintage, and I got this in a swap. I'm going to do like a ribbon end on the bottom. Include that off to the side. So we'll use this rather than struggle. And maybe I'll give 2 pieces of that in this. I don't want them exactly the same height. There. And then I think on the very top, that's where I'll use this. I wish that would stretch. Maybe it will stretch far enough, but then it's too wide. It's quite a conundrum, actually. If I do that, that's not going to work either. Maybe I'll have to do something else for the top piece. This is going to be a lot more forgiving. Let's do a piece of this for the very top. And I'll cut it to the appropriate width. And rather than making it shorter, I'm going to fold it over. I'm just going to cut this little snippet off here. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers. I feel like maybe it needs something else. I've got this purple that could be just on top of that. Tool, but I can just sort of force it on and then cut it off up here. Purple's a little bit of an oddity with all the blues and creams, but I'm going with it. And then I'll put that on to hold them all down. And you put one over and slide those bands over, and then put the other one down and slide the bands over, and that holds it closed. So these are easy to take out to use, and it's a nice little booklet of fabric samples. And then we could put a pocket over here put something else in, maybe. I think I'm just going to leave it. And then I said I was going to do something here. I think that's not the right color green, but maybe it could work anyway. I think what I would prefer is this. Be green on the front and beige on the back, but that's okay. I won't go all the way up to the scallops. I'll cut it off just a bit longer than the blue fabric. And it won't be scrap, but maybe I'll just put a little bit of lace peeking out. Realized where I might have a better blue. That's too baby blue, actually. Oh, there's the one I was thinking of. I knew I had it somewhere. So even though I'm not putting any of this in there, I'm going to use this. It's not as wide either, but it'll still go around the spine. I just love it. And this particular section has some blue and some green, which is almost perfect. It was just faded, I think. It's not supposed to be blue and green. I think it was supposed to be green, and the blue is a faded spot. Maybe a bleached spot, I'm not sure. And then I'll use some of this peeking out from underneath it. What I'm going to do is glue that to the underside. Because I still want to see that fraying. And on the back, the same thing. Clean up as I'm working. I should just do one thing at a time, shouldn't I? So that is what we're going to see. Oops. I tore it away too quickly. Give it a chance to dry, or at least stick. take, actually I better put the glue on here so that I don't get it further than it needs to be. I'm going to just sort of glue the front half, glue it down, and then do the back, rather than try to do both at once. I don't want to cover up too much of my rose, but I think it can come a little bit further this way. There. And then come back to here and do this. And that gives it a nice little book look. I don't know that that needs anything, but let's put just some of this. This go further than it needs to. Still have lots of strings. Takes a while to get rid of them, but once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah, so I really like that, and it's still fairly flat to put in a pocket. It'd be great to include in Happy Mail. So I may just make up a bunch of them and have them ready in my Happy Mail pile. And then when I'm filling up, especially for within Canada, where the thickness and the weight doesn't matter as much, they can be little bits that I include in Happy Mail. So I may do some more of those in front of the TV. Use up some of my packaging that I save and never use. I wouldn't say I never use it, but I've got a lot of it to use right now. So that's a good way to use it. Make a little book. So hope you've enjoyed seeing me scrap bust today. And well, this week, I'm going to probably put all these videos out in the same week or so. So if you do enjoy that sort of thing, let me know. We'll do more. Do check out Brenda Clark, the Simple Crafter, and Angela, the Traveling Crafter, on YouTube, and use the hashtag #GiveAScrap to find the videos that have been participating. And like, comment, share, subscribe. Most of all, have a great day and happy crafting.